Today I'm going to be talking about the miracle of Hiroshima. Let me paint you this picture. Imagine that you're in a building during World War II and it's at the end of the war and atomic bomb goes off. You're in a building and you're out in a vineyard and you're less than 1 mile away from the blast zone. What makes this story so remarkable is that this is what happened to these monks that were out there, these Christian monks. They should have died that day, yet they had no radiation poisoning. The building they were in remains untouched and is just protected. The building is still standing today. That's what's remarkable to this. You can actually backtrace it and look into it. So here we go. On August 6, 1945, the B-29 aircraft in Enola Gray dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima at 8:15 a.m. The bomb exploded half a mile from the Church of Our Lady Assumption. More than 100,000 people were killed instantly, and thousands more died months later from the effects of radiation. However, the building and 8 Jesuit priests stationed there survived. 9 days later, on August 15th, the Feast of Our Lady's Assumption, the U.S. forces were ordered to cease fire. Father Paul Rhodes, spiritual director at the National Blue Army Shrine, wrote this account of his conversation with one of the Jesuit survivors, Father Hubbard Schiffer. I met Father Schiffer in the late 1970s at the Tri-City Airport in Saginaw, Mich. As he was going to give a talk for the Blue Army Naval Triumph. As I chauffeured him around, he told me stories of his life, especially of the atomic explosion at Hiroshima. On the morning of August 6, 1945, he had just finished mass and went into rectory and sat down at the breakfast table. He had just sliced a grapefruit and put his spoon into the grapefruit when there was a bright light outside. At first, he thought it was an explosion at the harbor. This was a major port where the Japanese refueled their submarines. Then, in other words, Father Sheriff, suddenly a terrific explosion filled the air with one bursting thunderstroke. An invisible force lifted me from the chair, hurled me through the air, shook me, battered me, rolled me around like a leaf in the gusts of an autumn wind. The next thing I remember, he opened his eyes and he was laying on the ground. He looked around. There was nothing in any direction. The railroad stations and building and all the directions were leveled to the ground. The only harm to him that there was a few pieces of broken glass in his neck. As far as he could tell, there was nothing else physically wrong with him. Hundreds of thousands of people were killed or maimed in an explosion after the conquest of the Americans. Their army doctors and scientists explained to him that the body began to deteriorate because of the radiation. Many of the Japanese people had blisters and sores from the radiation. To the doctor's amazement, Father Schiffer and the other priests had no radiation or ill effects from the bomb. When asked to account for this incredible situation, is which he and his companions were spared, he said, we believe that we survived because we were living in the message of the Fatima. We lived and we prayed the rosary daily in our home. He feels that they received a divine protection shield from the Blessed Mother, which protected us from all radiations and ill effects. The coincides which the bombing of Nagasaki, where Saint Maxima Kolbe had established a Franciscan Freno, which was also unharmed because of special protection from the Blessed Mother. As the brothers too prayed the daily rosary and also had no effects of the bomb. Father Schiffer died on March 27, 1982, 37 years after that fateful day. He gave his account of the Hiroshima bombing of the Ecumenical Congress in Philadelphia in 1976. At the time, all 8 members of the Jesuit community from Hiroshima were still alive. This is amazing and important because this is a miracle that you cannot just debunk when you can actually look at the building and look at the accounts. It's really amazing that these guys survived and there was no harm coming to them. That our guy could actually stop an atomic bomb blast. Like, yeah, it's amazing. The guy will protect his own. So this is something I really encourage you guys to look into, the miracle of Hiroshima. Just backtrace it if you can. I mean, yeah, you'll be surprised with what you find. Thank you.